Okay, so the components for the bowl are the hinge. The needle is retained on this end. That little hole is where this little screw screws through that hole into that fastener retained in the float. Then we go on to, let's use my pinkies here, those two retainers for the pivot pin. Okay, now notice the holes in either side, and you put a little O-ring on there. Find an O-ring out of your kit and put that onto there, and that stops any leaks coming out from the float pivot pin. You do that with both of those brass screws that I showed you in the earlier video. Okay, now remember, they actually fitted into there. See that hole down there? Fitted down into there on both sides. That's why there's two of them. And that little pivot pin fits, if you like, into there. Okay? So in effect you have that, then that end there slots into that side of the screw, and it goes from one end to the other, right through there. And it actually retains that. See that shaft there? Little hole? Well, that's where that pin goes through. Okay, now this is the brass seat that I told you about with the hex head fastener. That valve there fits in. Got one hand here, so it's quite hard, but it fits in into there. Yeah, very hard to do this holding the phone. Even harder to do it with one hand. I'll hold it up like that. Now that pointy end, see down in there, down through that little hole there, you have what's known as a seat. They call it a seat because this point, see that point there? That point there sits on it. So that's why they call it a valve seat. So it fits down into there like thus. Okay? And then that, of course, as was shown earlier, that seat, brass seat body, screws up into there. And I'd be screwing that up with that valve, that needle valve, if you like, in position. Leave that in there while you fit that up into there. It helps locate it, keep it in situ, and then once you've screwed that into there, you then, with that hinge pointing down, slide that into there. Now where that sits is, I'll just take the needle back out of there. Where that sits is, it's very important, is that it sits in between this fork, the lower fork, okay? Remember, that's already in the body. That's how it sits in there. Okay. Now when you fit that needle into here, it's important that it slides in and out of there very, very freely and doesn't bind on that top tang. Make sure that it doesn't bind on this top tang.